What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Hot Mic Show. I'm your host, Austen Alexander, and I want to wish you a happy Monday. Listen, man, if you're in a rut, if you are in a place where you don't know if you should be there or if you don't know if you're going in the right direction, take a step back. Take a step back, evaluate your situation, reevaluate it, and come up with a plan. This is what I always do. You know, if I question myself, like, hey, is this really the direction that I want to be going? Take a step back, reevaluate, and then move forward. This helps me, organize everything. It helps me set goals accordingly, and it helps me progress a lot faster. So it's okay. It's okay to take a step back. It's okay to not feel like you're making progress, for a day or so or a week, however long you need it. I did that with YouTube. I felt burnout. They call it creator burnout when you don't know what to make videos about. But I took a step back. I took about a month off, and I reevaluated, and now I'm back, baby, with a vengeance. And I have a goal, and I have a dream that I want to attain, and I'm here to attain it. But today's episode is going to be kind of a special episode. It's going to be a Q&A. So I hope you're ready. I hope you brought your motivational ears, because hopefully you'll get some motivation out of this. So I asked the people of Instagram, the followers on Instagram, I said, hey, ask me some questions. So here you go. I got the names after them. So hopefully you guys don't mind if I mention y'all during this Q&A. So question number 1. Hey, Austen, if you could really go back in time and give yourself advice before the Navy, what would it be? From Tony. Tony, thank you so much for the question. It would probably be to try harder, to do more, to reach out more. When I first joined the Navy, I had a completely different mindset. I just wanted to cruise by, collect a paycheck, do the minimum. And now I feel like I'm the complete opposite. I want to meet people. I want to get out. I want to network. I want to try hard. I want to do more. I want to explore more. I want to maximize my life now. I wasn't always like that. I used to be kind of lazy. I went to the gym and everything, but I was kind of lazy. I didn't really schedule. I would sleep in late. And now my life has become more structured because I have a vision and I know where I want my life to be in, 5 or 10 years. So, yeah, Tony, there's the answer to that question. Hopefully I answered it to your satisfaction. Question number 2 is, how long is it necessary to cut prior to bulking? This is a fitness question from Shelby. Shelby, thank you so much for the question. It depends. It really all depends on what you're trying to go for. Are you competing for a show? Are you just trying to tone up and look good? It all depends, and we're all different. Our bodies are so complex, and we have different genetics that play a huge part in it as well. So, how fast does your body cut fat off? How fast do you gain weight? It all depends on you, really. So I would say, take a pen and paper, write down things that you notice, like, hey, if I eat carbs after 8 and I wake up at 6, then this is how I feel, this is how I look, and slowly learn yourself. It took me 3 or 4 years to learn my body and what works for me and what doesn't. So it's valuable knowledge. You're going to have it for the rest of your life. I encourage you to learn your body, learn how your body reacts to certain foods, how you feel as far as feeling lethargic or energetic, and how you look. So, Shelby, hopefully that answered your question. Number 3, I'm restarting working out and need inspiration on what to do. Do you have any suggestions? From Des. Yes, Des. So you're just starting out. So I want you to look at the big picture. Where do you want to be? What do you want to do? Do you want to perform? Do you want to look good? It's all depending on you, and it can happen. Anything you want that can happen, it can happen. It just requires consistency. Before you even begin this, you need to ask yourself, am I going to be consistent with it? That's the biggest factor. It's the biggest factor in anything. I see so many people fall off because they don't want to stay consistent, or they can't find a reason to stay consistent. So find that reason before you start. And wake up every single day saying, I want to be better than the people around me. I want to be better than the person that I was yesterday. Des, I hope that answered your question correctly. Question number 4, are you and Sara really waiting to have sex, or was that a joke? Very personal question from Nikki. Thank you for the question. I joke around a lot, and chances are that was a joke. I'll just leave that on the table right there. Favorite memory in the Navy from Ash. Ash, I really appreciate this question. It brings me back to the suffering on post I did in Bahrain. It was hot, and I think some of my favorite times were suffering on post with the people around me because we were all just embracing it. It sucked. It was hot. And, we had to tell jokes and just laugh about everything. And that's one of my favorite memories. Even on deployment, when the lunch line is an hour and a half long and you're really hungry, you just got off from a workout or a hard day's work, the thing you want to do is eat. So, just kind of embracing the parts of the military that suck together. And it really brings a bond into your relationship with a person, and it really brings you a lot closer. So that's one of my favorite things, my favorite memories. Question number 6 is, which do you have more fun doing, your military job or the YouTube show? From Anna Marie. Anna Marie, thank you so much for the question. I would say it would be the YouTube because there are pretty much no restrictions on YouTube. I'm not saying that I want to go out and do this and do that in the Navy, but in the Navy, you have to abide by very strict and certain rules. And I like doing the YouTube a lot more. Of course, I'm not saying that I hate my job in the Navy because I don't. That's one of the reasons that I wanted to get out is I want to pursue the YouTube full time. I like to be entertaining. I like to entertain people. I like to provide a source of entertainment for people. So I think getting out would allow me to do that. Of course, people say all the time, what are you going to make videos about when you're out of the military? Well, I just continue to make them about my life. That's what I did before. I am going to stay in the reserves because I want to keep my foot in the door. I want to volunteer for deployments. I want to be able to go on gigs. Like if, defense media activity needs me for a video gig or something, that would be pretty cool. That's why I want to stay in the reserves because I think it would be a good break from reality, kind of going back to those old roots and going back to see the people that are in the military, the people that I get along with the best. And that's a big reason I'm going to stay in the reserve. So, Anna Maria, hope that answered your question. I have a problem saying that for some reason. All right, next question. I don't have motivation anymore and I've honestly been going downhill mentally. I'm not going to say the name on that because that's a really deep statement, but I want to tell you the human mind is a very complex thing. There is a billion things that could be going wrong. Lack of sleep, eating unhealthy. It causes chemical imbalances and hormonal imbalances, and I think that's probably what you're going through right now. I've been through it. I think everybody in their entire lifetime is going to go through it. So if you can't find anything in this world that makes you happy or keeps you motivated, if you can't, look at other people that are less fortunate than you and say, wow, I really, have it. Even if you have a cell phone, which I'm guessing you put that question in from, even if you have a cell phone, there are people overseas that are 50 and 60 years old that are still working full time to provide for their family. So just realize that you're blessed. We are all blessed in completely different ways. And I want you to really latch onto that and really tap in to that and let that be a motivation. I hope that was a good response to your statement. And if it's not, then I can keep going. So for me, it's easy to look at where I want to be and say, man, I really, really want to be there tomorrow. I know you probably are the same way. Like, hey, I want to look like this. I want to do this. I want to have this much money. I want to have this type of career. But it's the day in and day out effort that you have to put in. So I hope that whoever asked this question, I hope that you are not considering hurting yourself. We have to ask that in the military all the time. Are you considering hurting yourself? It's never the answer. It's not the answer. Just if you haven't found your motivation yet, keep looking, keep searching. It's out there somewhere. And hopefully I can help out with that a little bit. Next question. You mentioned staying in the Navy. If they offered you something good, what would it be? From BP. BP, thank you so much for the question. Yeah, I've got this question a lot. And I think what I mentioned before, working in entertainment for the Navy would be an awesome thing to do. It would be really, really fun where I could keep creating my YouTube videos and keep my relationship with the Navy active. So there are lots of different channels that the Navy has. You know, they have U.S. Navy, they have America's Navy, they have All Hands Magazine that produce content for the Navy, and they need to recruit. I'm not saying I want to be a recruiter, but I would like to be a part of outreach as far as their YouTube channel, you know, getting to do these cool things. I actually mentioned it to them before. I said, you know, what would be cool is if we made a video series called The Bucket List, and I would be the host, or I would be the one going through the bucket list things. And, you know, we could reach a lot of people. We could really affect a lot of people, provide quality entertainment, and introduce people into the Navy. And I think that would be awesome. You know, if they gave me a gig like that, I mean, it would be a no-brainer. It would be a no-brainer for me if they did something like that. But I know it's hard. They have to pull a lot of strings. It's really never been done before. The Navy's never really brought somebody like that on and just had a host of the YouTube channel or a host like that. So I think it's something that would be worth the Navy looking into. So if they did that for me, that would be awesome, and I would stand 100%. Next question, Manhattan Beach or El Segundo? Oh, Manhattan Beach. That was from Chen. Yeah, Manhattan Beach. That's not even a question. Manhattan Beach is really, really nice, and Sara likes bougie places, so I would have to say Manhattan Beach. Next question, what weapons do you carry on and off duty? On duty, I carry an M4 service rifle, an M9 service pistol, and the majority of the time, an M240 Bravo medium machine gun shoots a 7.62 round, the same size round as an AK. I believe it's a little different, but those are the weapons we carry. The 240 is a crew serve weapon, so it's supposed to be manned by 2 or more people. And off duty, I don't really feel comfortable speaking about that, because it's like somebody asking you what you're going to bring to a fight. Like, hey, what are you going to bring to a fight? And if you're like, oh, I'm just bringing my gun, then they know what you have. So thanks for the question. Moving on. Tell a funny story you and your sailor buddies have done out at sea. Okay, from Trent. Trent, I appreciate the question. Funny story is ketchup bombs in the galley. You know, you have to make fun of a lot of stuff. You have to laugh at people. You have to laugh at things. You have to make really, really stupid jokes. And what we used to do, we have these Heinz ketchup bottles, and they are like gold on the ship. You put ketchup on everything because you have pretty much the same foods over and over. So you are constantly putting ketchup on everything. You know, your rice, your beans, your chicken, your cereal. No, I'm just kidding, not the cereal. But we'd flip the ketchup upside down, and we'd open the top, and we would squeeze it, and it would inflate a little and get air in it. And we would flip it back on its top, and when somebody would pick it up, all the ketchup would be in the bottom, and the air would be in the top, and it would just squirt everywhere. And I used to go around the mess decks and do it all the time. Like every single ketchup bottle, I was making a ketchup bomb out of it. And it got to the point where every single person on the ship knew it was me, like, because they would all point at me. And they eventually brought me in there. They said, security was like, hey, you know, you need to stop. So I thought it was funny. People would open the thing up and get ketchup all over their working uniform, and it was funny to me. Of course, it happened to me a few times, and I didn't think it was that funny, but I had to retaliate. That was a good memory. Any advice for someone going into the Navy and wanting to start a YouTube from Lindsay? Lindsay, thank you so much for the question. Yes. 1, be diligent, do your research, okay? You can't just be putting videos out there that have all kinds of OBSEC stuff in there. You can't post videos where you have serialized gear. You can't post videos of the infrastructure of the base, anything like that. So I recommend getting with your PAO, which is Public Affairs Officer, going over what you can and can't film. And sometimes your chain of command will try to shoot you down. Sometimes they'll try to say, hey, you know, you can't wear the uniform on camera. That's not true at all. It's not true at all. People do it all the time. People have been doing it for a long time. Just as long as you don't jeopardize the security of the base, that's the thing that they're most serious about. On a personal side, you have to be willing to be consistent. Just like I said earlier with the diet, you have to be consistent. YouTube is a consistent thing. And if you're not uploading consistent videos, they will downgrade your account into like a chill mode or whatever. It's happened to me a few times. You know, if you're not posting, my account analytics will go down, and it'll rest at like, I don't know, it'll hit a low number. So you have to constantly be uploading, constantly thinking of new ideas. So if you're ready for that type of commitment, then start and Be real with people, be honest with people, and try to create the best content that you can. Try to make every video better than the last. Hope that helps you, Lindsay. Moving on. What do you actually do in the Navy? I'm a newcomer from Noah. Noah, here's what I do in the Navy. I provide waterborne security for all U.S. college professionals that pull into the Naval Weapons Station Seal Beach Pier. If that was too fast for you, I drive a little small boat in the Seal Beach Harbor, and I work in Harbor Patrol. So we carry the machine gun on front, and we provide waterborne security for ships that pull into the pier. So like if a ship pulls in, you have land side protecting from the land, and you have harbor or wet side protecting from the ocean. So that's what I do. My rate is MA. I'm a Master at Arms, which means we're trained in weapons and security. And yeah, that's pretty much what I do. Hopefully that answers your question, Noah. All right, guys. Last question. We are going on 16 minutes right now. I may pull out a few more questions from my phone. I had these written down, but I may pull out a few more questions. From Jeff, how to find your path. Jeff, a lot of us haven't experienced a lot of things. A lot of us have just, like, for example, you played basketball in high school, and then you played football. Those are the only two things that you think you like. You're like, okay, well, I'll just go play football or whatever. There are millions of other things out there. I mean, there's tennis, there is dancing, there's YouTube, there's literally anything you can think of, building stuff with your hands, any hobby. Any hobby can turn into a profession. So, Jeff, I recommend to you, go out there and try different things. Try skydiving. Try lifting weights, going to the gym. Try a lot of stuff, except drugs. Don't do drugs because you can't really make an honest, legal living from drugs. Anyways, yeah, just go try a lot of things. You don't know what you truly like until you've tried them. I didn't know I was so fascinated with video until I picked up a video camera one day. So, yeah, Jeff, try as many things as you can. I hope that answered your question. Now we're going to dive back into the phone because that took a little bit less time than I thought. So we're going to answer some more. So let's see here. Mike Cincy Official, he is on the Smoke Pit podcast. He says, when are you coming on? Mike, whenever I'm in the area, I will come on the podcast. I would love to be a guest. Also another Navy podcaster. Let's see here. There are now 6 branches in the military. How do you feel about the new branch, the Space Force? I think it would be awesome to be a part of that. That would be a part of history. You could say, hey, tell your kids or whoever, hey, I was one of the first people to enlist in the Space Force. When they first adopted people into the Space Force, I was one of the first people. I think that would be one of the coolest things ever. And of course, they have auxiliary rates, I'm sure, like, assist, like supplies, assistance, and stuff like that, just like they have in the Navy. Just because you're in the Navy doesn't mean you're on a ship all the time. They have auxiliary support, like LSs that work with supply, OSs that operate the big systems and whatnot. So I'm sure Space Force has the same thing. What is it like being an MA in the Navy? From DeRosa. First of all, DeRosa, thank you for the question. It can be boring and it can be exciting. It goes from 0 to 100 really quick because one day you could be standing the gate. Next day you could be chasing some guy down in a unit that's on base. There's really no in between. Granted, if you live in a chill base, if you work in a chill base like Seal Beach, then not a lot is happening all the time, but you still have to stay on your P's and Q's. Like the other day we had a coyote that killed somebody's cat and they had to go over and try to shoo the coyote away. Stuff like that. It could be anything. Moving on, next question. Let's see. If you didn't do Harbor Patrol, what would have been your second choice? From Demetrio. Demetrio, my second choice besides Harbor Patrol would be Coastal Riveron Squadron or Personnel Protection. Now, Coastal Riveron Squadron I would still be in the boat, but I would be on the bigger boats and we would go out a lot further. That would be a cool job. I would be Expeditionary Warfare qualified, which would be awesome. I would finally have a warfare device. And Personnel Protection is just cool because you feel like, Secret Service, you're usually providing personal security for an admiral or a captain or somebody really important. So that would be my two choices. Thanks for the question. Moving on. What are my fitness goals? My fitness goals are to always be stronger and to always look better. I don't have any goals towards endurance because, I don't mind a run every once in a while, but it's just not in my goals in the near future. So getting stronger and looking better are my fitness goals. Any law enforcement jobs in the Navy for officers? Yes, you can become a security officer. You can become a ASECO, assistant security officer. That's pretty much the only officer jobs for security in the Navy. Where are your parents from? My mom is from Alabama and my dad is from Alabama. Born and raised. How old were you when you enlisted? I enlisted when I was 21 years old. Yes, 21 years old. And this year I turned 28. Wow, I'm getting too old. Let's see here. What made you decide to join the military? Probably a lot of things. I realized, I was cutting grass and making pizzas full time. And I realized, hey, you can't really do that your whole life, Austin. And the military was my choice. I went to 2 years of college, didn't like it, didn't even know what was going on. I hated listening to a professor up there speak about things that I was confused about. So I just joined the military. Next question. Anything you miss eating that you cut out of your diet? So right now I'm flexible dieting, which is how my body responds to the best. I prep down for a show using macro counting or flexible dieting. A lot of people have stuff against it, but it works good for me. So that's what I recommend to people. I'm like, hey, try this. If you don't like it, switch to something else. Things that I've cut out is probably, I haven't really cut out a whole lot of stuff yet. Really highly fatty foods. Like, haven't had steak in a while. Of course, I could eat it, but it would more than likely have to be a lean cut like sirloin or New York strip steak if I was really pushing it. Sauces. I don't eat sauces because it's like empty fats and empty carbs. Yeah. Next question. Let's see here. Is it sometimes frustrating being so tall? Yes. The world was not made for us tall people. I'm 6'3.5", 6'4" on a good day, soaking wet. And I bump my head a lot. There's a lot of things that I bump my head on. I can bump it in the car, especially on the ship. I pretty much knock myself out every day, and it pisses me off. I can be walking down the hallway, and I just ding, hit myself on like some pipe or something like that. But yes, it's hard being tall. Let's see. How bad do you miss Alabama and your family? Does it persuade your decision on realistic? No, it does not. I do miss my family. I don't really miss Alabama. I miss the people and I miss the nature. But I feel like I'm kind of different from the people in Alabama. And I think they know that too. Like when people talk to me now, they know I'm just kind of different. I'm not saying it's a good way. I'm not saying it's a bad way. I'm just different. Okay, we're going to do 2 more questions, and then I have to cut it off. We're at 23 minutes right now. My camera can go for 30 minutes. So 2 more questions. Let's see. Any advice for really young people to prepare for the military? From Landon. Landon, I really appreciate your question. Yes, start preparing now physically, and the mentality part will come along. If you condition yourself and if you discipline yourself enough to train physically and to train even though you don't feel like it some days or even though you don't want to, train, and it will build you up mentally. It will give you lots of discipline because that's what you're going to need when you go into the military. You're going to need the physical aspect as well as the discipline and the mentality. So that's what I recommend. That's why I always recommend physical fitness to people because it teaches you so many things and so many life lessons. So Landon, I hope that answered your question. Let's see. I appreciated you telling us you are worth it at the BPN pop-up. Question, are you happy? LKR Juiced. First of all, I want to explain that. I read a book. It's called You Are Worth It by Kyle Carpenter. He is the Medal of Honor recipient. He got blown up by a grenade overseas when he was deployed. Great book. And he tells a story, and I related a little bit to it because he says, when people say thanks for your service, I had no clue what to say. When people tell me that, I have no clue what to say. I don't want to say thank you because it's like I'm just absorbing it. I don't want to do that. I want to kind of like let the people know how appreciative I am of them saying that. So when people say that to Kyle Carpenter, he says, "You're worth it." And when I heard that, it really resounded with me. And that's what I tell people now. They say, "Thanks for your service." I say, "You're worth it." Of course, I've never been through anything like Kyle Carpenter has, but I still say it. And to answer your question, LKR, yes, I'm happy. I'm working on being happier and happier each and every day. And what makes me happy is progress. It gives me true fulfillment to know that I'm progressing in life and going towards whatever my goals are. And just for the record, I don't like when people say, "Hey, I'm going for my goals. What are your goals this year?" Like they put themselves on a pedestal. Like just because they have goals and they're asking you what your goals are, it doesn't mean they're truly fulfilling them. You really have to take a deep dive into people, if you can, and see that they're really acting upon it. A lot of people like to speak. Very, very few people like to act. And it's just, it bothers me because there's so many people out there that say, "My goals are this and that. My goals are to get skinny. My goals are to lose weight." But you see them, they're out drinking at the bar. They're out drinking, all kinds of sugary drinks. They're doing this or doing that. They're slacking on their cardio. So many people speak. Very few people act. And what makes me happy is to know that I'm acting, not speaking. I read this excerpt from a book, and it says, when you tell somebody what you're doing, what your next move is, that gives you instant satisfaction right there. Like telling people, "Hey, I ordered a Cybertruck," and you're out there telling everybody, "Hey, I ordered the Cybertruck." You're getting satisfaction from that before you have even done it. So to end this podcast on this beautiful Monday, I want to say you don't have to tell people everything that you're doing. You can keep stuff to yourself. It's okay. What's really going to show people and what's really going to tell people is when you come out with the success and when you come out with that outcome. So, okay, you're working on building a gym. Okay, cool. You don't have to tell everybody and their mother. Let the results speak for themselves. And on that, I want to end this podcast. Thank you so much for watching, guys. By the way, this is going to be on the YouTube channel, the Hot Mike Show YouTube channel. And if you're listening to the Hot Mike Show, I would really appreciate if you left a review. If you hated this podcast, leave me a bad review. If you loved it, leave me a good review. Not a lot of people say that, but I guess it lets me know what I'm doing wrong and what I'm doing right. All right, guys, I hope you have a freaking great day. Hope you kill your goals and your dreams, and I hope all your dreams come true. This is Austen Alexander. Well, I almost messed up there. This is Austen Alexander. I appreciate you listening, and I will see you guys in the next episode.